With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to another week of Study al-Islam. As always, it is so nice to share this precious time with each of you. Before we begin, let us open in prayer with Imam Abdul Sharif from North Carolina.
Assalamu alaikum Muslim. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Oh, Allah, guide us among those who guided aright, and preserve us among those who have preserved and befriended, and bless us in whatever we have us do. Grant us and deliver us from evils of what thou hast judged. For sure thou art the judge, and none can judge us against thee. Those whom thou hast befriended are not disgraced. Bless our entering to be by the gate of truth and honor. And likewise, bless our exit to be by the gate of truth and honor. Say, truth has arrived, and falsehood must surely perish. Grant us victory, grant us success, grant us complete trust in thee. Thou art our absolute authority. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Imam. So this week, we're going to have a slight change. We will have Sister Hanifa and her sister Farida, who will host this program of our intergenerational community leaders. The topic this week is on intergenerational community leadership and building interfaith relationships and partnership. Our first speaker is Fatimah Ali. Our second speaker is Sister Jayda Ahmed. And now I will ask them to introduce themselves, and I'm turning this program over to Sister Hanifa and Sister Farida.
I don't see Sister Fatima anymore.
Assalamu alaikum. She's having internet issues. She's gonna hop right back on.
Okay. Oh, there she is. Okay.
So while we're waiting for them, here's Fatima. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Should I get started? I got kicked out for a moment there.
Absolutely.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Or actually, since my internet connection is a little low, maybe I shouldn't share my screen. So I won't. I can try. But
give it about a minute to load up, and then if not, just go from your heart, sis, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Let me see.
While we're waiting for Fatima, I want you to know that these are our intergenerational leaders between the ages of 20 and 40. And so we want to give them our complete support because this is what we have been working so hard to achieve, and that is their involvement in this, in furthering and developing this community. So this platform of Study al-Islam welcomes them, and I know that everyone on here also welcomes them. So let us be patient as Fatima pulls up her screen. And we get started. As soon as I see your screen open, Fatima, I'm putting myself on mute. In this week's newsletter, please don't forget to read it. There is last week's recording so you can review it. It was an excellent presentation, and also the DVD. I want you to know that next week, we're going to have Councilman Kaleem Shabazz. I see him with us. He's going to talk about how to start the process of naming or renaming a street in your city after Imam Muhammad. Okay, I'm going on mute.
Alhamdulillah. My wonderful sister Jayda Ahmed, is sharing her screen for me so that I can be online and share my presentation. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. thank you so much for this time to share about something that I'm very passionate about. Sister or Aunt Fitrah invited me on to study Al-Islam to talk about my experiences in interfaith dialogue and to talk more about how individuals can get involved in interfaith dialogue. So I'm very excited to be online with you today. Interfaith dialogue is incredibly dear to me. I am currently the Interfaith Ambassador at Mercy Community Center in Houston, Texas, and I have been involved in interfaith dialogue intentionally for the past 10 years, even before officially jumping into spaces where I had intentional conversations about interfaith dialogue with others who were seeking to do so. I would have conversations with my peers who were Christian when I was younger, in elementary school or middle school, for example, just about what it meant to be Muslim, and they would tell me about what it meant to be Christian. So there are many ways to engage in interfaith dialogue, formal spaces where you step in to the space and everyone at the table is ready to talk about interfaith dialogue. And then more informal spaces where you're just talking to your friend or colleague or neighbor of another faith and learning about what's important to them. So today I wanted to introduce everyone to the idea of interfaith dialogue. Yes, so interfaith dialogue is when two or more people of different religious backgrounds sit down to talk about their values or beliefs. So folks of different religions who have different values, carry different beliefs, and who follow different philosophies will sit and converse with the intention of building positive, cooperative relationships with each other. Oftentimes in a community context, different community leaders from different religious institutions will sit down and engage in interfaith dialogue with the intention of building bridges between their communities. And oftentimes we can take the bonds that we build through interfaith dialogue and transform that into interfaith action. Interfaith action is when those from different religious, spiritual, or philosophical backgrounds come together to give back to their shared community in a way that honors those shared values. So recently in Houston, there were Christians, Muslims, and Jews from different synagogues, masjids, and churches who had an interfaith action project together where they had a food drive and they raised food for the local Houston food bank, coming together around their shared values of addressing hunger in the community. So interfaith dialogue is not only powerful in our individual lives, but when we come together to make a difference in our community, it can have a very tangible impact on the shared community that we all live in and value. Can you go to the next slide, please? I selected some verses from the Quran to talk about the Quranic basis for engaging in interfaith dialogue and interfaith action, and the opportunities that are present for us as individuals when we engage. So the first one would be an opportunity for learning and growth. Next slide, please. Awesome. So in this verse from Surah 49, Ayah 13, we read, "O humanity, indeed, we created you from a male and a female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may get to know one another. Surely the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous among you. Allah is truly all-knowing, all-aware." In this verse, we see Allah telling us that He created us into different people and tribes for the sake of getting to know one another. If Allah wanted all of us to be the same, He would have created us all as the same, whether that's of the same background. Oh, can we stay on that last slide for a little bit longer? Whether of the same background or of the same religion, but He wanted us to be different so that we could learn from one another. And this lets us know that by observing how our cousins in faith, I suppose you could say, how our cousins in faith practice and the values, the way they live out their values, we may be able to learn something about how we can be better Muslims as well. We can go to the next slide. The second opportunity would be an opportunity for dawah. And next slide, please. For those who can't remember what dawah means or needs a refresher, dawah is the act of inviting someone to hear the message of Allah, to learn more about Islam. And as Muslims, we're not called to convert anyone from their faith to our faith, but it is part of our responsibility to tell others about Islam. One beautiful thing about engaging in interfaith dialogue is that throughout the entire process, you are either learning about someone else's faith or you're telling that person about Islam. And in that way, you have the opportunity to share the beauty of Islam with someone while you're engaged in interfaith dialogue. And this is a verse from the Quran, Surah An-Nahl, Ayah 125, that says, invite to the path of the Lord of wisdom and good advice. And this was just one of the ayahs that I found on dawah specifically. Next slide, please. In regards to dawah and interfaith dialogue specifically, I found this verse. Say, O Prophet, O people of the book, let us come to common terms, that we will worship none but Allah, associate none with him, nor take one another as lords instead of Allah. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we have submitted to Allah alone. When we engage in interfaith dialogue, we will encounter those of other faiths who do not believe the same way we believe, but when we engage with them, we should actively share these things about our faith and essentially present them with the invitation to come with us on common ground to do work together on the values that we share. And if they don't share some of those values, if any of them turn away from one or all of these things, we don't have to change the way that they practice, but we bear witness that we practice in a way that's pleasing to Allah and that we submit to Allah alone. Next slide, please. Another beautiful thing about being engaged in interfaith dialogue is the opportunity to do good works on the earth together. Next slide, please. So this is one of my favorite verses. It's from Surah 5, Ayah 48. To each among you, we have prescribed a law and an open way. If Allah had so willed, he would have made you a single people, but his plan is to test you in what he hath given you. So strive as in a race in all virtues. The goal of you all is to Allah. It is he that will show you the truth of the matters in which you dispute. In this verse, I love this verse because I love that quote. So strive in a race in all virtues, or strive in a race towards all that is good. In this verse, Allah is asking us to remember that if he'd willed, he would have made us all a single people. He could have easily made all of us one ethnicity, one race, of one religion or creed. We could all very easily be Muslim and all follow the Quran. But his plan is to test us in what he's given us. So if we're Muslim and we strive to be the best Muslims we can be, Allah will test us in how well we follow Islam. For those who are Christian or Jewish, Allah will test them in what he has given them. So in our goal as members of an interfaith pluralistic society should be to strive in a race towards all that is good, along with our friends or neighbors who follow different faiths, or family members who follow different faiths, but who also strive towards all of this goodness in a way that aligns with their faith and the teaching that Allah revealed to them. So, and our goal should always be towards Allah. And we can trust in the end that Allah will show us the truth in the matters that we would argue about on this earth between what our different books say. Instead of arguing, we can focus on striving in a race towards all of those good things and doing as much good work as possible while we're here. Next slide, please. There are two other opportunities that I wanted to share that don't connect to specific verses about interfaith dialogue, but that connect to interfaith work. Oftentimes, when you're engaging in an interfaith space, you may be depending on where you are, what kind of city you're in, and who you're engaging with, you may be the first Muslim that someone has really talked to, or the first Muslim that someone has interacted with. So it's an opportunity to represent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to represent Islam. It's an opportunity to represent Islam and to show up as one of Allah's representatives on the earth in a very active way. I mean, oftentimes when we're just going through our lives, we may not share things about Islam with someone we bump into at the grocery store, for example. But if we're in an interfaith dialogue space, we have the opportunity to share about Islam in a very forthcoming way that we don't always have the opportunity to do. So when engaging in interfaith dialogue, we can really show up as Allah's representatives and talk about all of the beauty in Allah's book. Finally, engaging in interfaith dialogue gives us the opportunity to build new friendships or new community partnerships based on working together in our shared values and respecting our distinctly unique values. One of the things that I love about being engaged in interfaith dialogue is that there's the expectation that we're not all going to believe the same, and there's a certain amount of respect or tolerance or space that is made to say we will definitely differ in things. We can come around these shared values, whether it's feeding the sick or feeding the hungry or taking care of the sick or addressing poverty or promoting peace. Some of the younger groups that I've seen have wanted to like address climate change, for example, or taking care of the earth. We can come around these things that we have shared values about in our faiths. Next slide, please. So how to get started, how to get involved. How would you jump into interfaith dialogue if you are, if you've never had the opportunity to, or how would you get yourself ready to step into an interfaith dialogue space? One thing that you can do is improve your understanding of your own faith, of Islam, of the Quran, of the life example of the Prophet, and of the reasons why you practice the way that you practice Islam. Because when you step into a space dedicated to interfaith dialogue, you may be the first person that someone has had the chance to talk to who practices Islam. And if you're able to clearly articulate why you practice Islam and why you practice the way that you practice, you can shine a lot of light on the faith and dispel a lot of misconceptions that that someone else may have just because they've never had the chance to talk to a Muslim. Another thing you can do on your own is improve your interfaith literacy, and that would be learning more about how other people of other faiths practice. So learning more about Christianity, learning more about Judaism, Buddhism, any community that you may be interacting with. If you learn more about their beliefs and how they practice, you'll know the audience that you're talking to a little bit better, and you may be able to highlight a belief in their doctrine that aligns with a shared value in your doctrine, and they may be able to see their something that they believe and they value in Islam as well. So improving your interfaith literacy, even before you start to engage in interfaith dialogue, can help. Striking up, so those are the things that you can do on your own. Ways to really get involved in interfaith dialogue with other people would be to strike up a conversation with someone that you know who believes differently than you. If you just want to get started and get your feet wet, if you have a close friend who's Christian, or a neighbor who's Jewish, or a coworker who's Hindu, you can have that opportunity to invite them to a conversation or ask them a question about their faith, and really build the opportunity to learn more about each other from there. And one way to do it so that it doesn't feel out of the blue is that if someone has a religious holiday, you can ask them about their holiday, hear about it, learn about it, and then share something about that holiday or that belief that reminds you of Islam, if that's present. So that might be one way to strike up an interfaith conversation with someone in your circle already. Or if you have someone in your circle that wants to know more about Islam and you want to know more about their faith, that would be very easy to start that conversation. You can seek out opportunities to get involved with interfaith organizations in your community or in your city. Oftentimes, if you're in a large metropolitan city, there's going to be at least one organization that's dedicated to some form of interfaith dialogue or interfaith work. Some of them will be organized around dialogue purely, like coming together for an interfaith dinner and talking about a topic that relates across faiths. Others will be organized around interfaith action, like volunteering together as people of different faiths. And I would encourage anyone who watches or anyone who wants to get themselves or someone that they know involved to look online to see what interfaith organization in your area, do your research on them to make sure you know what that organization is all about before you engage with them. And then if they have like a dinner dialogue evening, try attending and see how it goes. Or if they have a house of worship visit, try attending and see how that goes. And the last thing I would say is that if you're of the younger, like millennial / Gen Z, age group, and you're really excited about social justice, addressing inequalities, or fighting climate change or anything of that nature, you can seek out opportunities to better the world with your peers of other faiths. And as I mentioned, that could be looking for interfaith action opportunities, or just getting together with a circle of peers who believe differently than you but want to make a difference in the world, and taking that step to clean up your community or to address an inequality that you see in your community. Last slide. Jazakallahu khair, everyone, for this. Oh, that was the last slide. Jazakallahu khair, everyone, for this opportunity. I'm very thankful that I had the chance to share about interfaith dialogue with everyone. I would love to answer any questions that you have. If you're interested in interfaith dialogue, I definitely say explore. If you know a young adult who you think would be well suited towards interfaith dialogue because they're open-minded, willing to listen, or enjoy sharing about Islam with their peers, I would encourage them to get involved, because I think that we can only make the world a better place through interfaith dialogue and through learning about each other with open minds and sharing about Islam with that openness. So, alhamdulillah.
Shukran. Thank you so much for just beautifully laying out what we're supposed to be about. I was curious about like some ideal settings. So I know college campuses are like fertile ground for, I think that's where we blossomed when we were in college with interfaith. Really, like Ramadan is so easy, right? It's so easy during Ramadan to do this. What other opportunities are like just little kind of experiments or petri dishes for like getting this stuff going?
Okay, so college campuses, absolutely. I got involved in interfaith I was engaged in interfaith dialogue while I was on my campus. I would invite friends to Quranic text study, where we would talk about, the Quran or Hadith, and then to reciprocate, I would attend Bible study to learn more about their beliefs. I would invite folks to like Ramadan dinners, or someone might be interested in fasting with us. So there's always an opportunity there to create that interfaith dialogue. There's some organizations that will do programming targeted towards interfaith dialogue. So in Houston, Interfaith Ministries of Greater Houston is a really big organization that does interfaith dialogue programming. I was introduced to interfaith dialogue through Interfaith Ministries of Greater Houston, like formally. So back in 10th grade or 11th grade, I engaged in their iLead program, which was geared towards raising or introducing young leaders in their high school communities and their religious communities to the world of interfaith dialogue. So that's what I engaged in during my 11th and 12th grades in high school. And then after graduating and coming back to Houston, I joined Interfaith Ministries of Greater Houston's Young Professionals program. So that was geared towards creating opportunities for young professionals to visit houses of worship, engage in service projects that serve the community, and network with each other to build those cross-religious community partnerships. So I would say look for organizations that are geared towards creating those social opportunities, because I know in Houston, Interfaith Ministries will do a bunch of dinner dialogues and things of that nature, and there might be something in your community that does something similar.
Shukran. There's a question about how many young adults are involved with you. Can you guesstimate about like the number of young adults involved with any of the organizations that are related to interfaith dialogue and action that you're involved in?
Oh, sure. So I think that in my interfaith dialogue circles, we could definitely benefit from more young adult Muslims being engaged. I know that I've taken part in interfaith programs that were geared towards young adults. And at that point, there might have been like 20 young adults in the room, right? From different walks of life who showed up for this one program. Regularly in my neighborhood, or really in my community, for the young adult professional program I'm in, there's about 8 young adults who are in that program. But I'm the only Muslim who's in that program right now. So I would love to invite other young adult Muslims to engage in interfaith dialogue and to help introduce them to what that's like if they're interested.
Okay, shukran. I was wondering if Jayda had something to add.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah, beautiful presentation, Fatimah. in agreement to what everything Fatimah has shared. Interfaith dialogue is definitely a valuable component. And actually, alhamdulillah, I was able to connect with the Focaloid movement here in Atlanta, Georgia, and to be able to have dialogue amongst them and actually learn a lot about their movement and religion and everything. And so it was a really beautiful experience. So just to add on, I really think that young adults and also youth should really get involved in an interfaith dialogue. You learn a lot about relationships and connections for the community, for humanity and community. So alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So, assalamu alaikum all. This is Hanifa, and wonderful presentation. I think also, as we are looking at our younger youth, you know, our school-age children, what type of things do you think we can do to encourage them to get dialogues going with, you know, their peers? I know for me, with my son, there's Muslims in his class, but, you know, when there's time for holidays, and I just say, just start asking, you know, the wali, what is it? You know, let's just, if they know about Islam, then you should know about them. So what would you think are some key things for younger kids, like grammar school age, to do to get dialogues going amongst their peers?
Ooh, okay. I think that adults in the community can help create an environment where younger folks feel like they can talk about those things. I feel like you mentioned holidays. How awesome would it be if adults in the community were able to create like in partnership with adults from other faith communities, create like a festival or like an activity or like an event all around learning about each community's different holidays, right? So when I was in high school, it wasn't around faith, but we had like an international festival and everyone brought foods from their family backgrounds. It would be so cool to do something where you have like an interfaith festival, I suppose, around holidays, and people talk, or you create a space that's really where people feel comfortable, like, yeah, loosened and comfortable to just talk about their holidays. And I feel like if kids see like their favorite foods and like their favorite holiday things in front of them, they'll be much more excited to share about it with their friends.
Agreed. Okay, so at this time, we're going to let Jayda do her presentation. Alhamdulillah. Just introduce yourself. Alhamdulillah.
Sorry, I done pulled up the PowerPoint before introducing myself.
That's okay.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Jayda Hani Ahmed, and I'm currently located in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a community organizer, also known as community builder. Graduated recently with my degree in psychology and human services. And I am chair over this organization that me and my co-partner is going to talk about, Fatimah Ali. And inshallah, yes. Let me go ahead and share my presentation with you guys. So, yes, so alhamdulillah. So Muslim Culture Con, this is our logo. It is a developing organization. And about Muslim Culture Con, we started in January, and it is an organization created for young adult Muslims in the community from ages 18 through 37. And our focus is to preserve and develop our Islamic culture and to establish our unique cultural voice by following the Quran and the example of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the legacy of Imam Wardi Muhammad. And so I'm going to have Fatimah go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatimah Ali. I'm based out of Houston, Texas. I am the Muslim Culture Con Sponsorships Chair. Outside of my work with Muslim Culture Con, I am the Interfaith Ambassador and Special Programs and Outreach Coordinator at Mercy Community Center. I am a youth Arabic instructor at the Islamic Learning Institute. I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science and a minor in mathematics from Colby College. And upon graduation, I was a recipient of the Carrie M. True Prize, which is an award that they give to a graduating senior who had a significant impact on the religious life of the college. So alhamdulillah, I feel so blessed that I've had the opportunity to be involved in so many community initiatives. And this one is very exciting. So I'm glad that we have the chance to be here to talk to you guys about it today. And Jayda will introduce herself again.
Yes. So, and with including that in my introduction, I also am the program director over an organization here in Atlanta called the Muslim Mix Organization. And as a Muslim leader in the community, I'm a strong advocate for building community life and also putting on programs and events for young adults and the youth. And so a little bit about Muslim Culture Con. It's a collective of young adults on a national standpoint. And it all started off of our drive and passion to really bring the young Muslims together. And so our mission is to strive and to prepare our young adult Muslims for both an individual and a collective success by providing the space and life skills necessary to responsibly establish our community. And so with that, we support and strengthen and celebrate our inherited legacy through the continued cultivation of our Islamic culture as young adults and supporting Imam Worthy Muhammad's vision for a model community, Muslim community. And we'll go to the next slide.
Yes, and our vision for the organization is to create a space where young adults can build connections with fellow young adult Muslims in our shared national community who are navigating similar challenges and striving towards similar Islamic lifestyles. We want to create an environment where young adults feel like they can live firmly into their Muslim identities when it can feel challenging to do so in other spaces where maybe you're the only Muslim there. We want to create an environment that cultivates young adults into leaders. So any young adult who wants to take an active role in leadership in their community or in the larger national community, we want to create opportunities for them to receive leadership training. And overall, we want to be able to create this network of young adults where we can collectively contribute to the betterment of ourselves, our society, and our Muslim communities.
Absolutely. And so
so our focus, we have 3 focus areas. One of them is brotherhood, sisterhood, and community. And that ties into the idea of really creating nationwide events, retreats, conferences, all of these spaces where young adults can come together and build those bonds of brotherhood, sisterhood, and community that are so important for our shared success and the success of our community life. Volunteer opportunities. We want to create as many volunteer opportunities as we can, and there are many ways to not only get young adults involved in bettering the community, but also for young adults to volunteer in engaging with Muslim Culture Con to contribute to the efforts that we're putting forth. And then creating opportunities for Islamic education, leadership training, business growth, government, and culture. Essentially, just helping create that incubator space where young adults can jump in and grow into all of these Islamic values, leadership values, values that would make us successful adults, not only in our communities, but as Muslims.
Absolutely. And then to move forward, and also, alhamdulillah, coming up, we will be a part of the Time to Be Grateful conference. And so we're asking everybody to please inform your young adults to come out to be a part of the Time to Be Grateful conference, as Muslim Culture Con will be putting on events for the young adults as we come together and connect and be able to move forward, inshallah. And so to get more information on our events and to learn more about us, you can follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, which is Muslim Culture Con, and then Facebook page, which is Muslim Culture Con as well. And also, if you would, love to support us in this initiative, we'll truly be grateful for that. So, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Let me go ahead. But yes, I would love to hear from you guys for any questions in regards to the work, that we're doing. Alhamdulillah, I'm truly grateful to be on this platform and be able to share about our developing organization.
Alhamdulillah. We are so appreciative for this presentation. And so I'm the generation like below you, right? Right. And what do you need from us? Like, what can we do? We're on Instagram. What do you need from my mother's generation? Like, how can we support you in your efforts? Please let us know. You have a captive audience. In the comments, people are asking how they can financially support you. You've indicated the Cash App, but lay it out for us, because we are all in, sis.
Alhamdulillah. Really, the organization, we're just asking for support in regards of advising, and consulting, with us in regards to our development and our involvement of the organization. Alhamdulillah, when it comes to our, upcoming events, we're looking to have speakers and to bring in, the older generation, so we could be able to collab and work together as, we're bringing in the young adults to connect and be able to understand their responsibility for community life. And so, those are the main objectives.
I think this is amazing. There are wonderful comments in here supporting all of your efforts as well. In terms of just lay out a little bit the name Muslim Culture Con. Like, walk us through that.
I got you.
I'm thinking of Comic Con, but I'll let you do that.
So Muslim Culture Con. So the emphasis on culture was really what we were focusing on, because in today's society, that is the main pull of what's pulling our young adults and our youth is the culture, but it's the bad culture. And so we really want to represent and exemplify the Islamic culture that we have. And so that's why, we put in Muslim Culture Con, because Muslim comes first. That is our identity. Islam is our way of life. And so for the young adults and the youth to be able to express themselves in an Islamic environment, in a cultural Islamic environment. And the con part, alhamdulillah, we just kind of figured it out. With the con part, we can kind of change up the ending with con. It's an abbreviation for different words. So, we could do connections, we could do conversations. And so we could utilize that con as an abbreviation for different terms of words for utilizing our events. And
That's what happens when you run an organization, right? You're in control and you can say, the con is not what you think it is. The con is what we say it is. Alhamdulillah.
Right.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And also, you know, like I said, Muslim culture kind, you know, alhamdulillah, God has blessed us all, you know, with the potential to be able to be viable to our community. And so we want to have this environment so that young adults can recognize that potential that Allah has that put in us to exemplify and be able to contribute to the community life in their local communities as well. So,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the place to be is where we are, right? As Muslims, where is that? So like we're oftentimes assimilating and grabbing onto other people's culture, which may be haram and not even in keeping with what we're supposed to be doing. And the place to be is where we are.
Yeah.
So let's normalize that. And you guys are doing a great job. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And that's it. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, you know, exemplify that and, you know, be a model community, you know, as what we're striving to be. So yes.
I was just going to pull some of the questions. I agree with everything Hanifa said. The first word that came out of my mouth, like while I was muted, was "this is so dope."
Alhamdulillah.
That's like the word we know that bridges, you know.
Also, I'm sorry, I would love to give a shout out to the whole committee, if that's okay. I would like to
please.
give. So we have me, Jayda Ahmed, as chair. We have Khadija Abdullah as vice chair. And then we have Zaid Hamid as our program director. And then Aisha Rashid as our volunteer coordinator and director. And Inshira Jihad as our logistics coordinator. And then Fatimah Ali as our sponsorship coordinator.
We love that. So talk about, because you're describing an organization, right? With people with defined roles, which is how you're gonna, you know, how you remain sustainable. How did you have help from, you know, other people who helped you all lay out kind of the structure of your organization? Because structure is important. Tell us about that.
Yes, that is actually a really good question, because I need to put emphasis on that. Brother Rahman Khan, alhamdulillah, was the person that reached out to me and my brother Marcus Lambert. They both were dealing with the national, I think it was called the National Young Adult Association, that was created a long time ago during Imam Warfi Muhammad's time. And Brother Rahman helped advise us, and my brother Marcus Lambert helped advise us in regards to the structure of our organization. And so, and supportive as well, we're looking for an advisory council to help develop our organization as we, you know, learn and evolve. But yes, that's how we started out. Alhamdulillah.
So
the support.
That's amazing. I just read somewhere that, like, you know, about mission statements and vision statements, and then about manifestos, which are like just the thing you would say in the elevator, and like the doors closing, you got to say, what's Muslim culture con? I just wonder if y'all have like the 30-second thing that would make everybody go, oh, that. I mean, we're already on board, but what's the manifesto?
Faith, culture, and community.
Nailed it, sis.
That's it.
Hashtag
That's it. Those three things.
Let's drop a mic to that one. Okay. Yeah,
that is it. That's it. Those three components, you know, is what we're really focusing in and really honing in as we develop this organization. And so, alhamdulillah, I'm excited.
I'm curious to know, like, what your influences are I mean, I know we have like the use of chromas and who are really doing great work and, you know, through spoken word and just, you know, being visible. What are some of your influences? Yeah.
So our influencers, alhamdulillah, we're still building on that part of getting people involved with the organization and being able to collaborate and you know, do our inshallah our upcoming events to have those influencers a part of MCC. So right now, alhamdulillah, we don't have any influencers yet on our organization, but we are looking for people to collab with and be able to work together in the development of this organization. So Fatimah, if you had anything you wanted to add on.
I just want to say, you know, that question, the acknowledgement of the pioneers in this community have been your influences. And I know that you all know that because I talk to each and every one of you, but absolutely, Fatimah, your father, Wazir Ali, Imam Wazir Ali, Jayda, your brother, our first and probably only scientist, Marcus Lambert, Dr. Marcus Lambert, who is a pioneer, considered he's younger than me, but he's certainly a major contributor in this community that has influenced you. Hanifa and Farida, your mother, who came through the Nation of Islam, and all of the sisters in Newark, New Jersey, who have been a part of your life, have influenced you. So I just needed to add that because I know that words mean words have different impact and influence us in different ways in the categories that we're in. But as a pioneer in this community, you are the answer to our prayers, and we are all connected. And I know that each and every one of you have someone in your family, in your community. Fatimah, I know you are a community baby. Jayda and Hanifa and Farida, you are community babies who have grown up in this community. And we love you all. And so I had to say that. I needed to say that. You know that I'm straight to the point.
Yes, that maybe just for clarity's sake, I just meant like, who do they vibe with?
There you go.
Who they vibe with? Who y'all vibing with?
Okay.
Because we are like, our DNA is this community, right?
Yes. Just the foundation.
Well, no, it's just, we literally, I can, you know, like doing my prayers and thinking like, Sister Makaya taught me this, Sister Quadria taught me this surah. So yeah, I just meant who they vibe with, who they vibe with. That's
Well, you know, Imam Muhammad said words make people. My father used to say, words don't mean, people mean. And so you got 3 generations on here, and you know, we just representing our generations.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so my answer to the question is who are my inspirations, correct? If I were to talk specifically about, I'm not sure if, I think when I think of an answer to that question, instead of inspiration specifically, I think like, where did my foundation come from? And like, what model am I building off from, right? In regards to Islamic and religious leadership. And when I think about that, I think about growing up in the Masjid Warithudi Muhammad and Mercy Community Center communities, and being exposed to the leadership team from a young age and seeing how they led. When I was in middle school or high school, Masjid Warithudi Muhammad had like a youth leadership committee. So being on that committee with my peers at the time, watching initiatives be set up by leaders in both masjid communities, or initiatives set up by the founders of Camp Khalil, Bayina Khalil and Imam Hanif Khalil, just seeing folks from the parent generation and how they established things, so that my generation would have resources to build that sense of Muslim identity or to grow into Islamic leadership. And then now that I've reached young adulthood, I suppose you could say, I'm an adult, but I'm still in my 20s. So it still feels like I'm figuring life out, right? Now that I'm stepping into adulthood, I'm essentially in that position where I then have to ask myself, okay, so how do I continue creating spaces for folks like me and folks who are coming behind me to not have the same experiences, but to have, to have similar enriching experiences that can help them also create their foundation, or to reinforce the foundation that they already have.
We're coming to the close, but I want to share with you what I once heard Imam Muhammad say, may he be in the highest place in paradise. Mm-hmm. He said, those who come after you, and I'm looking at he said, they're better than those who are here, because you have what we have, and then you are addressing the present situation of what's going on. So even though I made that comment about us, about my generation and older, and the experience of our enslaved ancestors have fueled your leadership in many ways and impacted it, I want you to know that your relevance is the continuation and the further growth of this community. And you represent that fresh look and the present day of the issues that are facing us that I have no strength to do. You have that energy, that positive energy. And so I know what are you guys laughing at?
No, what?
You say that energy, like we don't energize us.
That's right. Yes. I'm like, we got that from y'all. Like, we're pulling on from that energy, that spirit, it has continued through us. And so I'm
it has. But that's the point that I'm making. It has continued, but you guys have now accepted the responsibility, our community, our responsibility to carry this community. I no longer have that strength, nor the desire, but I'm and so it's so nice to see that you all represent the diversity in this community. And that is something that we are new at, is diversity. We have been laxed on the diversity, the diverse representation in our community, and you guys are representing that. So I want to say thank you for taking, and before I close in prayer, I do want to say to Hanifa, to the listeners, who's over 180 people on the line, that Hanifa and Farida are also organization leaders. And just quickly, Hanifa and Farida, tell us the organization that you lead once again.
It's Girls Gone Hajj, LLC. Our mission is to inspire Muslim women to make Hajj ASAP. Period. Pill.
And that's from your experience of making Hajj.
Making Hajj in 2009 with the Al-Muwazzin Hajj group out of Philly, who also came up through the Islamic community of Imam Warthin Muhammad Rahimahullah. So that's our mission as well. We and we really want younger people to make it as well. So we have some instant connections with Muslim Culture Con now. So inshallah.
That is so wonderful. And we are building bridges right here in our national community. Everything begins at home first. And so to see us all coming together 3 or 4 generations right here on this line. It is alhamdulillah. This is the vision that our leaders had for us. And I pray that our service is accepted by Allah and worship to him only. So I'm going to close by saying that next week is a very important program. Not that every program has been so invaluable, but next week we're going to have Councilman Kaleem Shabazz from Atlantic City, who's going to talk with us about the process and procedure of naming a street in your city after Imam Wadathuddin Muhammad. I think that's going to be an amazing project for all of us in our cities to take on. And so he's going to talk about the ordinances in his city, and hopefully they are similar to your city. Also, we're going to have a special presentation by Imam Rahman from Atlanta. And so let's look forward to next week, inshallah. And thank you to each and every one of you. We love you, you know that. Did you put in the chat box how people can make donations to both of your organizations? Because you need money in order to achieve your goals. Certainly faith and dedication is required, but you do need donations. You need money to establish programs. You need money to keep your website going. And so I'm sure we have a few dollars out there that can be contributed and donated to your groups. Brother Imam, if you would close us in prayer, we can get on with our day. Brother Imam?
I got it. I had to unmute. Oh, we be like, we thank Allah. Oh Allah, bless us that we seek your light. Oh Allah, bless us to acknowledge that you are the light of the heavens and the earth. Light upon light. Oh Allah, protect us for your guidance to your light. Oh Allah, bless our homes and our sanctuaries to be lit with your light, and bless us with balance as we reflect your light in the public. Allah, grant that we be of those whom neither traffic nor merchandise can divert us from prayer, charity, or from the practice of what is just and fair. Allah, bless us to understand the things that endure good deeds are best in your sight as rewards and best as a foundation for hope. Allow our hope to keep us on the path of trust and great expectation as we come closer together as a human family. Allah, grant us that we guide and do justice in the light of truth, and not be used as an advocate by those who betray their trust. Allah, bless us to stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to you, O Allah, even as against our own selves, our kin, whether it be rich or poor, for you, O Allah, can best protect us all. O Allah, bless us to forever with the best of understanding to Al-Quran, the life example of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the tafsir and leadership of our Imam Warfi Muhammad Rahim Alayhi. Ameen.
Ameen, ameen, ameen. Remember, with love, all things are possible. Assalamu alaikum. See you next week. Shalom.